All right, we'll get going here. What's going on, everybody? I hope everybody had a nice weekend. I'm feeling pretty good. I started doing the cold plunge in the mornings, and I got to be honest, they are insane. I just feel so much better, um, going throughout the day. Just feel like I'm in a much happier mood as well, so that's a big plus. But I'm currently on the road right now, driving back home in about an hour, so I figured I'd hop on here and just go through some of the charts that I had posted throughout the weekend here. And, if anybody has anything to come on up, I know side that I would lean on in that trade. And the reason why I say that is because if I'm right, which, look, I'm not saying this because it's myself. I'm not trying to gas myself up or anything like this, but as I'm sure a lot of you feel, you put in a lot of time into studying charts, trying to perfect your setup and things like that. And that's why in my group, I actually have a channel dedicated to my model so that when they occur, I can post them in there, right? So one, confidence. It's my confidence is increasing as a result of that, right? I'm seeing this happen over and over again. And when it happens, I screenshot it and I post it in there. So we can go through, hundreds of these images to show that, look, it's not a made up concept. It's something that actually works. You can back test, you can prove it through past price action. So I like my odds in that situation. And think about it. If you're waiting for that discount retracement, realistically, let's just say it's a retracement into the golden pocket. So at the very minimum, it's 62% of that range. So my initial target or my potential win on that trade is 62% of the range, while my risk would be X. Could it be the full 38%? Sometimes it is, depending on the size of the range. But other times it could just be below the imbalance that was formed in discount that I was buying off of. So really, everything is just very, very controlled. And that's what I needed. When I was trading using a lot of the other methodologies and concepts, moving averages, Bollinger Bands, trend lines, you name it. I didn't think it suited me or my personality in that I needed answers and I needed to feel like I knew what I was doing and where would be a reasonable spot to stop out or a reasonable spot to take profit, because that's what I hear the most from people right now. It's not always finding a move. It's when does this trade go to shit, or oh man, I was up a ton of money and I let that thing come back down on me. And, now I'm zeroed out. I actually lost money when I was up, 30%, 50%, 100%. And that's something that I needed to avoid, in order to become consistent or to be sustainable for the term doing this. So that's why when I pivoted and I concepts and, obviously they take time just like everything else. And I think the most valuable part learning just concepts like these is you're going to know where the trade's going to go to shit. Okay, we sweep a swing low. Could we get a bounce here? Sure, we can get a bounce here, but now market structure is bearish. I'm expecting this to go lower. So for me to hold on to that trade and hope that we, get a quick bounce so I can make up some of my loss, I would avoid the hopium game and just take my loss. And I think that takes a lot of, the mental or psychological side out of things when, again, you trust in yourself and you trust your ability to, all right, it took out my level. I'm out. I can take a loss, right? One of my friends that I used to play baseball with, he always used to say something, whether he got out or, something happened in the dorm rooms or something, he would say, even bosses take losses. And, obviously that was well before I started trading, but that always kind of made me laugh a little bit. You can be a success. You can be great. Think about baseball. If you get 3 hits out of 10 times at bat, you're probably going to be in the Hall of Fame at the end of your career. That's a 300 batting average. That's excellent, right? But it's the biggest differentiator in that all of that is out of those, let's say those 3 wins, are those 7 losses too big to overcome? Are those 7 losses overwhelming? Are they going to really ruin your account and give you don't have capital to trade with, or completely ruins your confidence because you were afraid to take a loss, a small one in that? to me, that is something that was probably, besides the concepts, I think understanding and having a good idea of what concepts actually work, something that you can back test, something that you can, I guess explain in a way that would make sense. I think that's probably number one, because if you don't know what you're doing, then that's a pretty big problem, especially when you want to throw money around on it. But the second thing was really just the ability to take a loss and know where a trade can go to shit, when I do lose, and it happens, and anybody who tells you that they don't lose, they're just plain and simply a liar. And but to take those losses, and a reason why, I've shared some losses on here, but to be honest, I really don't think anyone gives a shit about my losses when they're controlled. They're not the people who post these $30,000 losses on these trades, because one, that's, to me, terrible risk management, and something that I never want to get involved in, because again, does that sound sustainable to anybody? Not really. So as long as I don't take big losses, I know, just again from putting in work and having a very good understanding of the concepts and how they work, that more often than not, that might not even be a 10 trade clip. Let's say it is that 3 for 10. I'm three wins and 7 losses, right? But I know that if I win 3 times out of those 10 attempts, that my stop losses are not going to be more than enough to, not be able to come back from. I'm going to be able to come back from those. Oftentimes there'll be days where I trade and, let's say I start out 0 for 3 on the day. And then that 4th trade, I make my stop losses back because they are pretty minuscule and they're not out of control. And then I end up making those stop losses back. And then I ended up, green on the day. Even if it's just by a couple of bucks, it's still, I'm taking that over, a day of tough losses anytime. So that's that to me, like, obviously understanding concepts and having a strategy that is, I'll say bulletproof. I don't mean it bulletproof in that you're not going to lose. It is a part of it. But understanding, like, where is this trade a loser? I am okay with accepting a loser. If you're in a trade, and let's say, I don't know, if you're older and you have kids, let's say your kid's watching and they're seeing your screen and they see all this money coming off the board. Are you going to be okay with that? Like, probably not. So just because you're by yourself and no one's watching you, it doesn't mean that you should take this beating of a loss. Almost think about that in the back of your head. Like, okay, like, this is a lot. This is probably affecting somebody that relies on me. And that's not a good thing, obviously. But on the flip side of that, think about it when you're in a trade that you're just dominating, you're killing it, and you're up quite a bit, but you have no idea where to take your profit, right? You have no structure in whatever your strategy is. Yeah, you found a winner, and at one time or another, I feel like everybody's gonna find a winner, even if they don't have somewhat of a strategy. But how do you manage in that situation? Let's say your daughter or son are watching your trade, and you're up 100%, and that thing just swept higher time frame liquidity and starts coming down pretty fast. How are you going to react to that? You don't know where you're supposed to take profit in that situation, and as a result of that, you're in some trouble. And you're whoever it is watching you, and they're saying, "Oh wow, you just you were up this much, and now you're barely." Having that kind of mindset and thinking that way, it might push you to trying to figure out the concepts that might actually work for you in the long term. So I don't know. I'm just throwing out some little examples and things that have really I think benefited me over the long haul, because again, just reiterating it, because I truly hate these types of spaces where people lecture, and it's not really what I'm trying to get into. I'm just from personal experience, but I just want to reiterate that, of course, I lose. I have red days. Everybody is going to. But one thing that I'm probably the most proud of over, say, the last 2 years, somewhere in that vicinity, is my ability to not let losses get out of control anymore. To me, it's like, people say, oh, you got to be emotionless. You got to have control of your emotions. Well, I'm a human, but I'm going to try my best to be as robotic about this as possible. And that's why with trading futures, it really has helped me a lot, because I can literally just place the stop loss on the screen. Okay, I know if price sweeps this swing low here, I'm out. My trade is done. I lose. I have that on the screen. I ain't touching it, right? And that's also why I record my trades. I record my trades for that reason. Look, I don't want, even if I were to win on that trade and somebody says, oh, you moved your stop loss like 75 times, to me, that's like almost like, catching some luck, I would prefer to be good rather than be lucky, because I think, skill is something that is sustainable, and luck, flip a coin. I would just rather be good at it. So, but, there is like a method to, like, I don't want to say the madness, but the reason why I do certain things, like why do I record my trades? It's not to brag to Twitter in front of a bunch of strangers. I don't care. But a lot of the things that I do post, even my charts, like selfishly, I know, I don't want to sound like a jerk or anything, but selfishly, like that stuff has made me better. My preparation, every night I'm doing charts, I'm posting them, right? I do a newsletter for that reason. I'm glad if you get it, you like it and stuff like that, or you see my tweets and you like them, that's fantastic. But at the same time, for a little selfish undertone, like this stuff helps me. I'm putting in time. It makes me accountable in a sense. Like, I can't just not do it. That's I don't do that kind of stuff. Like if I do something, I'm gonna honor it. So I don't want to say it forces me. I'm not forced to do anything, but it really like gives me a little more initiative. Hit the charts. Who cares if it's 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night? Just do it. Like, you're going to benefit from it as a result of that. And while I think over the last 2 years, really, the first year that I was on here, while I was sharing a lot of charts and such, I don't want to say I don't want to say it's as informative, but it was just a much different landscape where what I was trading really played a huge factor in it. It was more of, I was looking for these little catalysts for these small cap companies and stuff like that. And, there's times where there's just none. And when there's none, like there was just not much content that I was posting. But the difference now is that every single day, every hour, there's more information that's handed out. And it's something that I feel like I can capitalize on by doing the work, whenever it is, whether it's at night, in the morning, as long as I am prepared for the task ahead the next day, I automatically feel good about it. So, just kind of putting in that work, and, again, it really all comes back to this, and I don't want to sound like a broken record or a jerk, but if you do not know what you're doing and you don't have any model or strategy that, not only have you been able to back test and shown that it actually works, but an understanding as to why price does what it does. I have videos on YouTube. I actually a more recent one as well. I go through every single move on multiple different charts. And, while some people might not agree with the concepts that I use or something like that, every single move I can justify whether, I was right on it or whether I was wrong on it. And oftentimes when I look at trades from that perspective, maybe when it's not as clear cut, because there are situations and realistically, not so much towards the end of last week, but the beginning of last week and the Thanksgiving week, it wasn't so cut and dry. It wasn't the easiest market to trade. I think the last few days last week were, a little more clear cut and easy to read, but prior to that, it wasn't as smooth. So in those situations, I almost have to weigh the pros and cons. Okay, I think price can bounce here because, we got that discount retracement, or, I could see that, but on the flip side of that, I can also see us moving lower from this point because we did sweep an hourly high. So by sweeping an hourly high, I know that's higher time frame liquidity, and if price does want to move down from that point, it would make sense. And then that's where you have to weigh, the risk reward. Does it make sense for you to even attempt taking that trade? Does that reward, say it's 20 points, does that make sense for your 7-point risk? Everybody's different. Mine might be different than yours, but that's the thing. I mean, everybody is different in that, you know, and this is why I hate alerts. I hate alerts. And trust me, years ago, I was the person taking them as well. Even if you have the best trader ever in your group, that does not necessarily mean that you are going to be anywhere near as successful as he or she. One, there could be lag between when the post comes out and when you get into it. You know, maybe their account size is much larger, and you know, 10-15% to them is fantastic, but that 10-15% to you is a couple dollars, and you don't want to just hang on for a couple of dollars. You want more, and then the trade reverses on you, and then you don't understand why. You know, there's so many little things to it, and it's not just like, oh, this guy stinks, that's why you shouldn't take his alerts. It's way beyond that, because when you're winning from somebody else's alerts, you're not even thinking twice about it. You're automatically, you're happy for yourself. You know, you're almost crediting yourself for that win, when in reality someone else told you when to push the button and when to sell, right? But when you lose, automatically, rather than being able to own up to your shortcomings and your loss, because it is your loss, even if you take that idea from somebody else, rather than taking that loss for yourself, you're automatically going to blame someone else. And that is not helpful in any way, shape, or form. And trust me, I have been there. I've always, you know, early on when I was looking at for those guys, whether it was on Twitter, whether it was in Discord groups, I was looking for those alerts because, you know, to me, it was like almost a learning experience, because I wanted to know why, while a lot of them didn't tell me why something may or may not have happened, you know, which really frustrated me. But, you know, I wanted to use that as like a way to, you know, speed up the learning curve, if you will. You know, you can watch as many videos as you want. You can read as many books as you want. You can listen to as many idiots like myself on Twitter Spaces at 10:30 at night on a Sunday night as you want. But until you are in that situation where you are, you know, the lights are on you, you're probably not going to experience, you know, how real this can be, in a sense. You know, this is your money. This is something that you work for, and when you are when the spotlight is on you, you know, are you going to fold? Are you going to be able to maintain those setups that you spent so many hours learning? And that's why I almost think it really is a different ballgame, in a sense, where, you know, I used to hate on paper trading so much. I really did. You know, I used to, and not like making fun of people who paper traded or anything like that. I just didn't think it was helpful for the longest time, because I used to value that emotional aspect more than actually knowing what the hell you're doing. And I think that was, you know, looking back on it from, you know, time and really learning from, you know, havoc. Okay? That was probably one of the dumbest takes that I had. And the reason for that is because you could focus on your psychology all you want, right? But if you do not know what you're doing, you're in trouble, right? If you do not have a clear cut plan before the trade even takes off, before I even place a trade, I already know, okay, my stop loss is going here. I will never press that buy or sell button until my stop loss and my take profit are set. Now, I do get a little loose with my take profit, and I can explain that in a few minutes. But with my stop loss, there's no backing away from that. Um, Again, it's something that I feel like I put in the time to learn all that I need to know about price action. Do I know every nook and cranny of it? Probably not. I'm sure there's more stuff that I can learn and incorporate to make me better, or, you know, improve my, I don't know, success rate, or, you know, consistency in specific instances. I'm sure. I'm not trying to say that I know everything, but I know, because I put in so much time and effort watching all these damn videos, you know, being on Twitter all the time, posting my charts, practicing myself, being able to post a chart and then come back to it a month later and see how things shook out. All that stuff, that's practice, but it also is building confidence throughout. And that's why everybody in the group, I urge you, post your charts. No one is ever going to make fun of you for posting a chart and having a different opinion from them. You can have a different opinion from me. People in the intraday, they say, oh, I'm taking puts here. And I just say, why? I'm not asking why because I disagree with them. I might even agree with them. I might be looking to do the same thing, or maybe I'm already in. but it's the thought process, right? Some people just say I'm taking puts, and you're like, why? And they, I don't know. I think we're going to go down here, right? Is that viable? Does that make sense? I don't think so. I think that everything that you do has to be justified for it to make sense. And that's why, like, there's sometimes where people say, oh, I think we're coming down here. And it's like, okay, why? And, oh, we're overextended, or, I think we're bouncing here. We've been getting killed all day. Well, there's not really much, fabric or, context to that. Maybe if even if it's something or an indicator that I hate personally, oh, well, we're here on the RSI on the 30-minute chart, and I think that's why we're going to, oh, hey, you got backing to that? That is fantastic, right? That is awesome. At least you're using something to justify your trade, right? You shouldn't just be going into this blind and think, oh, we're down 100 points today. We have to bounce here. No, you don't. Trust me. I've tried to trade those, and they don't always work out the way you want them to. But just going back right before, I'll get back to some more charts. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but the last thing, a lot of the times, like if you're watching any of the videos that I post of the live trades or anything like that, like you'll notice that oftentimes I do end up getting stopped out rather than my take profit hit. And the reason being for that is, let's say we have a bullish market structure or a bullish trend. Price retraces back down into our golden pocket, and I'm playing it for my model to take off and take that swing high. We take that swing high, right? So the take profit is really there. But the thing about that is I want to see that, what's the next imbalance going to be? Is it going to be an imbalance higher? Because if that's the case, then we're going to get a continuation, and I can continue to drag my stop up in profit and play it that way. Or are we going to hit that level reverse and stop me out almost immediately, which happens, which is fine. I'm giving back a couple points, but at that point, I'm okay giving back a couple points for the potential of that next leg higher or that breakout trade. So that is, one of the reasons as to why, you'll notice that, I do end up getting stopped out on a lot of these trades. And it's because, look, once I hit that 20 point, I'm very aggressive with my stop loss, because the way I look at it is this. If I can hit 20 points 3 times a day, 20 points would be $400. If I can hit that 3 times a day, that's $1,200. That's more than enough for me. That's more than enough for a lot of people, probably everybody. Unless you have a stupid account size where, it might not make sense, right? But, to me, rather than looking for that big home run or trying to take down these, $10, $20, $30,000 trades, which I had done in the past, and the ups and downs are not for me personally. You'd have that day where you would nail something for a stupid amount, and then the next 4 days of the week you just go on to kind of melt most of it, if not all of it, if not more than all of it. And those ups and downs to me were not sustainable. It's not something that I could do this and feel that it's something that is sustainable for the long term. It didn't make sense. So I had to pivot, and that's why I focused on daily goal. And that 20.3 times, that does not happen every day, right? I just think it's a reasonable goal. It's something we used to call them the SMART goals when I was a teacher. It's something that is like measurable, attainable. I'm not shooting for the moon and I'm gonna make 10 grand every day, and it has to be something that's attainable and something that you feel confident in doing, and keeping that target, or where I would forecast or would love for myself to be able to clean daily. That's all I'm really looking for. I'm not trying to overshoot and go crazy, but that doesn't mean that if, let's say, I've hit my goal for a day, or even on the flip side of this, if I've hitting if I've lost X amount of money on the day, if my setup plays, to me, I'm not going to shy away just because I lost a few trades, or I'm up this much money, I'm going to not take this trade even though it perfectly meets my model. I think people always talk about over trading and how over trading, it kills me. Over trading that doesn't meet your specific strategy or criteria kills you. If it was your strategy, or whatever your model is to take trades off of, whether you're a moving average person or a trend line person, or you use smart money concepts, it's not the concepts that are killing you in that situation. It's you taking a trade that doesn't line up with your strategy or your model. That's the issue there. It has nothing to do with your actual strategy. But I've also seen a lot of people get into that where I'm over trading, and the strategy that I had, it just doesn't seem like it's working anymore. It was working for a long time, and well, you're trying to tell me that you have a strategy that you spent a lot of time on to back test it, to prove that it works, and then magically it stops working? I don't know about that. Let's just go back and review some trades. Okay, we'll review trades. We review trades, and you see, and you're like, does this meet your criteria for a trade? Nah, it doesn't. All right, what about this one? You lost here. Did this meet your criteria? Nah, it didn't. I'm just pushing buttons, right? So to me, that's self-explanatory in itself. And sometimes it does take, whether it is a mentor or a trusted friend or something like that, somebody that you trade with, to just say, like, it's got nothing to do with what you're doing or what you back tested or what you practice over and over and over again to show that you can be profitable doing this. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It has to do with you pushing buttons when you probably shouldn't do it. I have really good friends. I truly do. People who I've never met in my life. People who I've traded with for 3 going on 4 years at this point. I don't even know if they're in here. Yeah, Katie's in here. You requested. Sorry, Katie. I just saw this. But I got KD. I got Ryan retrades. I don't know if he's in here either. And I got Ivan, who I've been trading with for so long. And when I'm on the verge of doing something that might not make sense, it's not like, oh, don't do it like that. They're not telling me what to do, but they're saying like, oh yeah, I see it this way, or oh well, I it didn't actually get it down at the discount there. Are you sure you're taking that? And then I'll be like, oh shoot, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So having that in your corner, I think, is so enlightening, and I would urge everyone. And that doesn't mean that you need to go out and join any Discord group or pay somebody for a mentorship or anything like that. That does not mean that. I run a group, and I'm telling you that. Just take that for what it's worth. You do not need any of that. But if you're lazy and you don't do anything to improve on yourself, maybe you do need some type of structure. Maybe you do need a way to meet some like-minded individuals who are going to, hold you accountable for doing what you say that you want to do. That's another thing. I got to be honest. I am so sick of people saying, oh, I want this so bad. I need to do this. I need to do this for boom, 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 this, that. And then we have live calls. We do live calls 5 times a week. Where are you? You're never there. I don't know how I can help you. I'm not pushing buttons for you. I'm not going to hold your hand. If you want some insight, or there's a whole group of people that are, shooting ideas out there and everything like that. But you're not getting the most out of this group. You're paying money and you're not doing anything for it. And that drives me nuts. I could very well just sit back and say, I don't care, whatever. They're paying for the group. They don't want to do anything. It's on them. But it frustrates me because you want to be a part of a community. And by doing that, and this is any group, not just myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people who run groups would say the same thing. You're putting in work, and I don't care what anybody says. I spend a lot of time on, these live calls all throughout the week. And I don't know any of these people, but I almost take it as like a slap in the face when they say all of this stuff, like, oh yeah, I want it for this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna put in all this work, I'm gonna be watching all these videos, and then they're gone. It's like, what are you doing? We had this hour-long conversation, and now you're gone. That stuff frustrates me. And it's always the same. Oh, I got busy, I got this, that. Well, I'm sure everybody gets busy. Life gets in the way of a lot of things. But, when you say you want something, to me, you're going to make time to get what you want. I mean, that to me makes sense. I know KD didn't get, to a point where he's at right now by continuously pushing things off. KD and I used to be on the phone until 2 o'clock talking about stuff that we don't even believe in anymore. Like the trading ideas and how we follow macro and things like that. Like it doesn't really impact our like day-to-day trading, and that's something that we would spend hours and hours and hours talking about because we wanted to improve, we wanted to get better, we wanted to be more well-rounded. To me, it might be just a societal thing, and again, I really do hate doing these where I just feel like I'm sitting on here and complaining, but certain things just drive me absolutely nuts. And I hope that sometime or another that kind of mindset kind of evaporates, but I don't think so. I think this is something that there are just a lot of people who probably aren't cut out for this. They say they want to do it all they want, but when the time comes, they're nowhere to be found. It's like, okay, time to pay the man. Let's do it. Let's put in the actual time and effort it needs to be successful at something, and they're not there. So, and I don't mean to be a jerk or anything. Again, I don't know a lot of people, but maybe one person listening to this is like, all right, damn, I needed that kick in the ass to get me going. If not, sorry for being a jerk off, but it's just that's just where I'm at. But all right, let's get back on track. Sorry, I just went on a total tangent there, but I hope this was useful to at least one person. Oh, hey, Fat Tree, what's up, man? I see you got the mic. How you doing, man?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh,
What's
cool.
up?
Oh, I was just kind of cutting you off, I guess. I don't know. Seeing how you're doing.
No, I'm good, man. I'm driving back. I'm driving through the woods right now. A little rainy.
So,
Just started that fast. So,
admittedly, to directly to what you just said, man. Admittedly, I'm going back through some ICT videos and in doing so, realizing that I skimmed them a little faster than I probably should have. I did watch them all, and some of them a lot of times, like I go back and look at certain parts, but it's kind of like I was selecting the parts I wanted to hear that were kind of going with the trade ideas I already had. So I am kind of like backing it off a bit. I think just trading micros and going back through some ICT stuff this week because I choked last week and I shouldn't have. It was just a bad week.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at right now.
Well, you know what?
I got to hit the books again.
I mean,
I should know, like right now I'm looking at like NQ right now, and like I just can't. The order blocks, I can't identify the order blocks properly, and I think that's a big hang up for me. So I need to go and restudy order blocks, and I got to restudy some of the PD arrays.
Yeah. Well, check out the syllabus, man. I got the videos in there for the order blocks. I mean, look, I think this goes for any strategy. So for anybody listening that doesn't trade the way that I trade or how Factory does, he does use the similar concepts to me. But I think a lot of people, the concepts could be gold, but a lot of the time, a lot of the meat of what is being taught gets lost because there's so much other things going on, whether it's, getting off track and talking about this or that or whatever. And that's, to me, that was my really my one and only complaint about the ICT videos. It was just, there are gems in there. There truly are gems in there, but the issue is like finding them, and you really have to be on your top of your game, and you really like you almost have to be taking notes because you don't want to miss out on a point where something that is said resonates with you. And but that also makes it difficult for when you're trying to go back and study some more. You got to go find it, and it could be lost. There's thousands of videos now, so that was always like my number one complaint. But I mean I am very happy with the way that I guess I went through all of those videos because I did take it seriously. I did take notes and write things down, and then after that I would go into a chart and see if I can match it up and it would make sense to me in a way that makes sense to me and not just to the general public. So I think that is difficult, but I don't I was still, I mean, up till maybe I got lazy, maybe not, but up until about 2 months ago, I would still take an hour a night, and whether I was watching a video on his concepts or really anything else. I don't trade supply and demand, but I was on a flight back from Texas, and I just popped in. I had one of these courses from one of these people on supply and demand. And, I watched it. I mean, it's not really something that I would use, but it was just interesting to see, like, I guess you could say, like, a little bit of a different perspective on things, especially after the fact, when I felt like I had my model in place and it was something that I really wasn't going to change anyway. But to hear other perspectives, I think it is helpful. But that, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to change the way I do anything for anybody else.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I couldn't have said any more, I guess, than that. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't suppose any chance you want to walk me through deciding right now from right here what's going on with NQ? Because I just see consolidation from through the night between Thursday and Friday. That we're like right in the middle of that consolidation range. And
Sure.
I hate entering. I want to go to bed and I want to enter a micro before I go to bed and put a stop on. But I just don't know. I can't read it. It pisses me off sometimes. When it's like this, especially because with that like shock gap at the open at 5 tonight or whatever, that little bearish imbalance.
Oh yeah, so we're below the new week open gap right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at the most recent price range. Sorry, I'm driving, but I'm going.
Oh, you're driving?
Yeah, wow. I'm driving.
Well,
no, I mean,
like,
I
just
want to get you one number. I just want to get you one number. So I'm just looking at this most recent range that we had set. So from the AM session to the PM on Friday, we had that low set.
About 15,863 to 16,050 or whatever.
Yeah. So from that low to high, that's where I have my my fib set on a a smaller time frame, and I just see one imbalance down there in discount at
on the 15, 70%. Right? The one on the 15
I'm looking
minute.
At the 15. Yeah.
Okay, that's the same one I identified right when I got in, and I went short right away, which started to work out, and then I don't know. Nice. I don't like being like $150 down on a trade when I'm on a 100K static.
Sure. Yeah. No, I don't really like trading the overnight session at all, to be honest. I'm not up for session.
You're cutting out on me, man.
Oh, I'm cutting out here.
Yeah, you're cutting out, man. You should probably focus on driving, dude. I don't even feel good about distracting you at all, dude. I don't like. I have a really close friend that was in some pretty bad.
So. I know. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not like actively looking. I just knew that there was one imbalance down there in discount that I was, looking at, specifically. So hopefully you can hear me right now. Yeah. But
I just want to know if you're looking at the same one. I appreciate the confirmation on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking at it like, again, if it happens overnight, I'm probably not going to take the trade anyways. But yeah, I mean, but even look at that imbalance in itself. If you were to look for a long off of that, because we a bullish trend that we made from the Friday low to the high, we took out. We're tracing down there. I don't know the exact number, how many points that imbalance is, but that imbalance makes sense. I mean, the range is pretty damn big, the 16.0 swing high. So, I don't know. If it happens overnight, so be it. I'm not going to touch it. I like going into Monday pretty fresh, zeroed out. And, realistically, I rarely ever take anything that's, going overnight. But I had one question in here from Anthony. Anthony said, what's the main source you learned your strategy from? So all of the concepts that I use, like, none of them are mine. I didn't create any of this at all. But in terms of like the way I use them, I guess it could be unique to me. I know there are other people who trade very similar to the way that I do. But yeah, so realistically, I went crazy and just really started to watch that. It's the Inner Circle Trader on YouTube. And, you know, prior to that, like I really did try everything, like other than supply and demand. That was probably my next stop if this didn't work. Like, but you know, when I first got to trading, I came in with a pretty decent amount of money, and you know, beginner's luck, whatever. I made a good amount, and I was able to sustain that. So even during the trading ups and downs, where you know some weeks I'd make a lot, other weeks I'd lose a lot, you know, it pretty much stayed base, and I had that nice little jump start, which helped a lot. But the problem for me, and something that frustrated me so much throughout time, was that you know, I never really had an explanation for when I lost. You know, I would be playing like a breakout or something, and then I'd lose, and then the explanation for it was, well, this is a fake breakout. And like that drove me nuts. How am I going to put money on the table and expect to win something when, you know, there can be a fake breakout? Are you kidding me? There has to be a reason as to why that would happen. So then when I started learning these concepts from ICT, it just was really like a light bulb kind of went off in my head. Like, why do some, more often than not, why do breakouts not work? And the reason for that would be, you know, when we sweep liquidity, typically you will get that reversal, especially if it's on a higher time frame. So learning that, it was just like, oh crap. And then it's like, okay, but like now that makes sense, but why? And then you find out, and you're like, and just like the thought process that goes behind it. And this is, you know, I don't think this is exclusive to the ICT concepts. I think most concepts that touch on reading price action alone, because I don't use any indicators, I don't use volume, I don't use moving averages, nothing. I use trend lines, none of that. But I think, you know, a lot of other, you know, ideas behind reading price also use like the justification that at a swing high, what had to have happened at that point? Well, if you're setting a high, clearly people had to be either, you know, selling all their longs or they're going short. So if that has to happen, specifically people who have the funds to actually move the market, right? You know, myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people in here, we probably don't have the money to actually move the markets, right? You know, specifically when you're looking at something like the S&P or NASDAQ, even like Apple, Tesla, like we ain't moving it. Sorry. But when you go into it, understanding that, like, okay, somebody had to have sold here. And if they're going in this trade with a substantial amount of money, enough to actually move price, where their stop loss is going to be. They're not going to go into the trade without stop losses on when we're talking about that much money. So their stop loss is going to be above where they enter the trade. And when price, you know, stop hunts, it's taking them out. It's generating liquidity or money for price to move and look for another pool of liquidity. And that's essentially how price moves. It needs liquidity or money in order to do that. And without that, it ain't moving. And that's why I'm like totally behind the idea that there is an algorithm that is delivering price, and its job, however it was coded, was to go find money, go find stops to take out, and that way we can continue this move. And that's why if you were to go and look at, you know, my YouTube or go into the group and you look at the channel where I have my model, I post these you know, examples of the frequency at which it is successful, and you're going to notice that you know, it is almost, it is something that reoccurs in the market for whatever reason, you know, whether my explanation for it is wrong or not, something that works. And, you know, you could back test it, you could prove it. Confident in. And through time, I found little caveats when my model might not work. Because if my model were to work every single time, the market would go in one direction and one direction only. And we all know that that is not the case. The market does not just go in one direction forever. So by getting into it and thinking like, okay, why wouldn't it work here? And then you realize after back testing and backtracking a little bit and trying to make sense of it, and you realize, oh wow, when we take out higher time frame highs and lows, that typically leads to a reversal, and my model typically doesn't work when that happens. And then I plug in that last puzzle piece and I just feel like, oh my God, you know, the light bulb is like, it's lit up and it's lighting up so much that it's like blowing in the glass. You know, it's just like, wow, now I feel like this is bulletproof. Now, are there times that I still lose? Yes, of course there are times where I lose because, you know, again, step one, have an idea of what you're doing. Step two, now you got to deal with the beast. You got to deal with your emotions. You got to deal with, you know, what's going on in your head. And there are times where I press buttons when I shouldn't. And I as much as, you know, I want to say, you know, nope, I'm robotic, I don't do it. I do it. I'm sure everybody does it. But again, I think, you know, going back to what we talked about before, the complete distinguishing factor for me and the reason why I think I've had so much success since this point was because I do not let the losses kill me. I have an understanding. If price goes to, let's say we're in a bullish trend, we retrace, we go below our discount imbalance and we start heading for sell side liquidity or our swing low. I know if that swing low is taken out, market structure is shifting bearish, and I am not going to hold this sucker and just hope and pray, right? I used to call this getting caught in quicksand, where you have a level, it hits your level, chops around for a little bit, and then it goes below your level, and you say to yourself in your head, oh, well, I have another level just below this. I'm going to sit in it, and, you know, I'm going to hope this one sticks. And then that one gets down into it, chops around a little bit, and goes lower again. And then you're just telling yourself, oh, you know, I have another one that's a couple more points. This is going to be the last one. I promise myself it's going to be the last one. No, it's not. And you're going to keep holding it. And then your contract's at zero and you're in quicksand. You're getting dragged under as a result of that. And that's something that I've completely eliminated from the realm of possibility. Are there times where it sweeps the low and I'm trading SPX and I'm not able to throw my stop on the screen and I get smacked on a knife through sell side? And I say to myself, okay, maybe I'll just wait for this candle to close, whether it's a, you know, a 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, and I just let it rip. Yeah, there are times when that happens, but oftentimes when that happens, it's not like a substantial amount of money that I can't afford to lose on a specific trade. And that's why I like going into it specifically. You know, I kind of have a little bit of a different style when it comes to trading futures versus trading options, in that when I trade futures, my stop loss is dead set on the screen. I will not touch that sucker unless I am up and I can move that sucker higher. But on the flip side of that, when I'm trading options, you know, I don't necessarily know how bad this option is going to be getting its ass kicked if it gets down to this specific point. So I don't know the monetary value, but that's why I pick the contracts that I do strategically. So for example, if I'm trading SPX and let's say the at the money contract is $350 or something like that. While let's say we sweep that, I just know I'm probably going to, you know, I'm going to get hurt more because that contract is worth more. So I have to think to myself, okay, look, if I'm, you know, if price gets down here, you know, that's X amount of move, and I can try and do all the math as quickly as possible in terms of what the delta is going to be, how that's going to affect this contract, blah, blah, blah. But I try and choose contracts where it's like, okay, if this is not to go my way, one, it's not going to absolutely crush me. And two, I have an escape route where it's like, okay, look, I may have lost 50% on this contract, but if I'm trading a, you know, a $150 contract, I can live with that. You know, if I have 5 of those, I can live with that. That's a $350 loss. That's something comparable to what I could, you know, I would potentially use as a stop loss on my, you know, NASDAQ contract, you know. So I think you have to tailor it a different way. And I have found myself over time kind of distancing myself from the options versus futures, and I trade futures predominantly at this point. And just the fact that I can avoid fighting that theta, to me, that's a game changer as well. I don't like to just sit in trades anyways. So, you know, if I'm taking a bounce off an imbalance and discount and price decides that it wants to chop around for, you know, 30, 40 minutes, more times than not, I'm going to get out of that trade. Why would I get out of that trade? Theta is not affecting me. Well, I know that if price is getting into a bullish imbalance and we are bouncing around in that area multiple times, what is that doing? that's balancing that price range. So my bullish imbalance is no more imbalance, and we have a balanced price range. And if we have a balanced price range, flip a coin, right? That if I knew it was a balanced price range, I wouldn't take the trade in that spot anyways. So that's why, when you see those rectangles on my chart, when we're spending too much time in there, I do not like that. I tend to get out of the trade. Even if I'm right and price bounces from there, there's a lot of times where I'm out already, or I move my stop loss up so close that if I do end up losing, it's for peanuts, it really is just a way that I can control. I always in control of my downside risk and not let things. It's very difficult to come back from.
You're cutting out for me anyway. I don't know about anybody else, but I can't hear anything anymore. So.
So I'll go into it, and again, I'm just totally, hopefully it's informed. Mando, can you tell us the two indicators you're using on TradingView? Oh, yeah, sure. So, I do say that, I don't use any indicators, but I guess it's a fib. So what I'm using on there is I use the NWOG, so New Week Open Gap. The reason why I use the New Week Open Gap, and it's something that plays much more effect on futures. A New Week Open Gap is, essentially a new day open gap on, say, like Tesla or Apple or any individual name. But I'll leave this up to your interpretation. If you are just to turn that on, I want you to see how powerful that level is. Don't take my word for it, just back test it. And this goes for anything that I ever say on here. Don't just take my word for it. I would urge everybody to go back and back test everything that I say, anybody on Twitter Spaces says, to see the validity behind it. I think that's useful. I don't think you should just blindly follow anything. And who knows? Maybe you come across somebody who says one thing, and then you're looking at it, and you're like, "Well, that's just not right." I've proven this myself. I've gone back in the chart, and I've seen numerous amount of times where this golden cross or whatever you call it, it's lagging behind like 3 weeks, and it doesn't work. Maybe not. I don't know. Go back test it. But that would be the first one, and that New Week Open Gap also has the New Day Open Gap, and I think that is just the gap theory in itself is so powerful, and I think so many people again back test this, but think of gaps in this way, right? And I bet you if I took a poll and said, what's the first thing that you think of when you hear of a gap, right? People always say, "Oh, we gapped, so we're going to go back and fill that gap," right? Or, "Oh, we got to fill the gap." No, we don't. Go look at any chart. I guarantee that you'll find multiple instances where we do not fill the chart, the gap completely. it's a farce. I think it's just not true. And I just think it's an easy thing to say for people. And that's why they say it, because, you know, they got to get their tweets out there. They got to get their impressions up and all that jazz. But it's just not true. Go on any chart. I don't care what it is. You will look and you will see that more often than not, price will get into a gap and not fill the whole thing. So to build off of that, when we get a gap, for example, let's say gap up. If we to gap up, that's, in my opinion, and again, back test this, use this as your own, you know, as your own homework assignment or something. But if we gap up, what that's telling me is that there is urgency to move higher, right? So if there's urgency to move higher, I'm going to actually use that gap, because what a gap is just an imbalance, and in the form of a volume imbalance in this situation. We're making an imbalance higher. So when price retraces back into said imbalance, my expectation is that price is going to move higher from that point. Right? So, and on the flip side, if we are to gap down, say, to me, that's telling me that there is some sort of urgency to move lower. And if that's the case, if price were to retrace up into that gap, my expectation is it would act as resistance. Now, what would be an instance where, yo, Amanda, we gap down, but then we, you know, the next day we move right up through that imbalance? Why would that happen? Well, I bet you if you look left and you identify one of these swing lows, you're going to notice we swept a higher time frame swing low that actually created a reversal. And in doing so, it creates a balanced price range and an inverse imbalance that when price comes back down into it, it's going to tap into it and take off. Don't take my word for it. Just go back and look. It's very, very powerful. And that's why, like, I have no problem posting these charts on Twitter and just, you know, just kind of giving my opinion on them. Am I right about all of them? No, but you know, when they're right and you can go back and you'd be like, damn, I was right about this. Over time, what are you doing? You're just building confidence, right? I actually had a tweet on Mara, and you know what? I'll post it up top here. I was also pretty ticked off, and I do get ticked off a little bit sometimes with this stuff when I probably shouldn't, but I do it anyways. But I'm gonna share it right now. But I had said something to the effect of, like, you know, everybody's cheerleading now, but you know, when this thing looked bleak, nobody talked about it, right? Everybody wants to talk about it when it's a hot hand, and you know, it made the move already, but before that happens, nobody wants to talk about it, and that's why I put it down and I tweet about it, because I can always just go back and say, hey, it's right here. And then especially when I pair it with me taking the trade off of it, it's a confidence thing. It's not about arrogance. I trust me, I know the difference between arrogance and facts, and you know, it is tough to fight it when it's there 3 weeks before it happens.
Mando, also, I posted your original post on Mara.
So, you know, I had one guy trying to tell me that. It's like, oh, you're getting cocky and all this shit. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm not. It's facts. There's a difference. It's not, you know, I don't go out there and say, hey, you're an idiot, you're wrong, I'm going to be right, watch. You know, I'll share my opinion and that's it. You know, I'm not really looking for anybody else's opinion on anything. You know, I listen. I will totally listen as long as it's respectful and not trying to, you know, I guess diminish like my own work. But, you know, I will listen to anybody. And maybe you do make a great point where I'm just like, all right, I need to revisit this and look. But more often than not, you know, even after taking, you know, others' ideas and things like that, I don't change mine as a result of it. You know, I think I've gotten to a point where I'm more than comfortable in how I go about reading price that I don't really need anybody else's idea. So
also posted your.
Let's see.
Over.
Let's see whether did anybody else say anything in here. Let's just see.
Yo. Hear me?
Teddy said go. Oh yeah. I started that water fast, man. You know, I've been doing like 16 hours or really just like, you know, I would eat like lunch and dinner and that was it for about like 6 years. So I'm stepping up to the big leagues here. I think I can do it. Yo, KD, I thought you were up here. Sorry, man. Here, I'm gonna give you the mic for a sec. I I got like 10 minutes until I'm back. So, yo, what's up, man?
Yo, explain this water fasting.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been hearing about it for a while. Apparently, you're really just, it's water. You can get a bone broth, lemon water, coffee, black coffee. So really anything with no calories. But apparently there's something called autophagy. I mean, I'm sure you would know better. You're the scientist here, but apparently something goes on in your body called autophagy, and it, because your body is almost like it's tricked into believing that you're like starving, I guess, and as a result of that, like it's killing off all dead cells and regenerating new cells because again it it thinks something's wrong and then it needs to send reinforcements. And when you rejuvenate and you're whatever, you create new cells and stuff like that, apparently it's supposed to be good. So I'm giving it a crack, man. I've read a ton of stuff on it, and I'm not a doctor, but to me it was all right, I'll give it a whirl.
Are you referring to like not eating? Is that the idea behind just water only?
No, I will not be eating until what is it? So Sunday at 9 o'clock. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see, man. I mean, I've seen people do like the before and afters. I know it's the internet, so they could be bullshitting, but and I just posted that, and a lot of people were like, yeah, I do it all the time. It's great. You feel amazing. But another thing that I've been doing actually, that next level, and like I'm like a firm believer in this. I'm like into all this weird stuff, like the mushroom coffee and all that, and I think that's great as well. But the cold plunge in the morning, dude, since I've been doing it, I feel so locked in. I'm like shocked at how locked in I am as a result of that.
Bro, the cold shower.
I get a decent amount of sleep. I go to sleep late, but I still sleep a decent amount. But like, I wake up, I go in that thing. It sucks. It's freezing cold, and it's freezing cold, in the morning, obviously. But like, I'm good. I just hop right in, and it's, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and the first time I did it, I was shaking so bad, like I was shivering. My legs wanted to get out of the water so bad, but kept them down, and now I'm feeling like a pro at this. So
yeah,
but we'll see, man.
Yeah, no, I'm interested to hear what you will come back on. I'm not entirely sold on it,
dude. I'm not either, but
yeah,
I'm just curious. And apparently there's like this, like the whole like that whatever autophagy thing, like that like kind of makes sense to me. Like, okay, your body is like, yo, we gotta fight starvation here. Let's pump in new cells, whatever. Like that like can make sense to me. But then there's like studies that show like people who do this, it like decreases your your chances of it's worth a shot. It's something that I know I can do. Mentally, it's going to be probably tough, but I trade, so
yeah.
I feel like I'm mentally tough. I can do it.
I mean, your body is naturally going through autophagy 24/7. I get the whole point of what it's trying to do, but you're also limiting your body with vitamins and necessary ions that you need to for cardiovascular health. I mean, specifically.
Hey, I don't know, man. We'll see. If I die, I die.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think so. I think I'll be fine. It's the monk fast.
I'm sure you're fine.
Yeah, look up the monk fast and see. But there's a lot of doctors that talk about it. This one dude, Gary Brunka is his name. He's huge on it. Dana White just did it actually, and it's amazing. He's like ripped as a result of it. He did the before and after. I'm gonna do the before and after too, and see. I mean, I'm not like fat by any means, but not that it's like a bad thing, I guess. But like, I'm not fat, but we'll see how it goes after. I also need to like get a little more dedicated into the gym and stuff. My baseball's over, so I feel like it's time. I've spent all the time that I would be on the baseball field really just like doing these types of things, and I need to like not do this all the time. So that's why I was pissed off last night. I'm like, damn, I posted all these damn charts, and I don't even know if people are looking at them. Like, it's frustrating. So I don't know. But yeah. So let me just see if there's any more questions. If not, I'm gonna pop off here. I'm just pulling up right now. So no problem. Factory, good. Been if since college in 2010. I don't know what that is.
I think intermediate fasting would be my assumption.
Yeah. Same, man. Yeah, I don't know. I just like didn't feel like eating in the morning. I was like, dude, I would like get sick, and I could not tell you the last time I really had eaten in the morning. But there's also times when I'm like trading and I'm like looking at the computer or watching something, and I just like almost forget to eat, and like I know that's problematic, but like I've gone over 24 hours without eating before, so I'm not worried about it. And if there's some serious benefits to it, I'm in. I'll give it a shot. It sucks. I'll be the first one to say it sucks, and I'll never do it again. But I don't know. We're gonna find out. So
my non-licensed medical advice would be just don't go crazy with the water, because just drink water as you normally would just drink water.
oh yeah, when you're hungry, that's the way you do it, I guess. It's like when you're hungry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll see, man. I'm gonna be taking lemon water as well. I know you need like electrolytes and shit. They said like put a dab of salt in there as well. That's supposed to be helpful. So so I don't know. We'll see. But oh yeah, IF and intermediate fasting. I'd get sleepy in class and just started cutting out breakfast. Led to not eating until after classes. Yeah. No, that's really what I've been doing for a long time, and I feel like I don't feel as like heavy or like groggy when I'm eating two meals, like a reasonable amount in those two meals. Like, I've been able to maintain like weight and muscle pretty well. Like, I don't even know how many calories, probably like 2,400 or something like that. Like, that's probably what I'm around daily. But I don't like snack either. I just eat two big meals or good enough meals where I'm fine.
Yeah, no, dude,
know.
when I'm in the lab till like 11:30 at night, like I'll start at 2 p.m. and I'll go straight to like 11:30. Like there's no chance in hell that I'm like eating in the middle. I'm just like going straight through, just like completely focused. I just like completely forget to eat.
Yeah,
that's like my own way of like fasting. It's just like I'm so focused.
I know. I forget
LJ
about
responded back. Yeah, exactly. LJ also responded back. I enjoy eating larger meals as well, especially before bed. Going to sleep much easier on a full stomach.
Yeah, that's kind of the one
I
thing
totally
I'm worried about. Yeah, I mean, actually, I'm really not worried about anything. But like, if there was gonna be one complaint that I'd have, I'd be like, I really don't like going to sleep like hungry. So, I don't know. I don't think the first day you're supposed to. Mike does this all the time, Katie. You know that, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like you know that like I'm kind of a freak when it comes to this shit as well. Like I definitely want to get into the mushroom coffee. I'm definitely open to like a lot of these different ideas. I just think that there has to be some type of precaution to a lot of what goes into it. Yeah, no, I mean, because essentially what I would reckon all of these around to is basically like a crash diet in some type of way. Where it's just like you're completely just negating one thing for an extended period of time, being your 72 hours.
Right. No, it's funny. Look at
the
LJ.
idea
LJ's picture. He's jacked up, bro.
That's it. Yo, LJ, you want to drop some knowledge in here, bro? I need to look like that.
Yo,
bro.
I actually just pulled in and I got to do a session, so I'm gonna pop off. But yo, LJ, definitely hit us up for real. Maybe one time we can hop on and talk like this. But everybody who stayed in here, thanks. I know I went on a tangent. I got to like 2 charts, but I think a lot of what was said it can be helpful. So I hope it does. But all right, Katie, thanks for popping up.
Man.
Sorry, I didn't even look down for a while to see if you were, I was driving. So.
No, bro. Yeah. Yeah, tonight's not a night I could talk about trading all that much. I was really just going to say one thing and one thing only, and that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. I'll catch you guys at some point this week. I think Thursday I'll do the live charts again, and we'll get after it. But good luck this week.
Yeah, that's probably a better day for me.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. You pop on, and I got that StreamYard too, so I can add you in. You could also share screen and stuff, so it'll be cool.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
man.
yeah, that would work.
All right. I'll catch everybody. See ya.